Your performance this quarter has been completely unacceptable. I expect significant improvement immediately, or we're gonna have serious problems.
Have you ever swallowed your pride when a boss was disrespectful, or stayed late at a job that makes you miserable simply because you couldn't afford to miss a single paycheck? That is a dangerous place to be. But what if I told you there is a specific dollar amount that flips the power dynamic instantly? It's not $1 million. It's not even $500,000. It's a much smaller, specific number that acts as insurance on your dignity. Once you hit it, you stop being an employee who needs a job and start being a professional who chooses to work. My name is Stiles, and I obsess over the mathematics of freedom so you don't have to. If you're tired of the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle and want to understand how to let compound interest do the heavy lifting, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get real for a second. Most people think slavery is a word from the history books. But if you have zero margin in your bank account and your landlord expects rent on the first, you are not free. You are owned by your expenses. I don't care if you make $30,000 a year or $300,000 a year. If every dollar that flows in immediately flows out to pay for a car you can't afford, a house that's too big, and a lifestyle you're trying to maintain, you are operating with zero leverage. Your boss knows this. The economy knows this. When you have no savings, you lose your voice. You are forced to say yes to toxic work cultures. You are forced to accept 2% raises when inflation is 4%. Why? Because the alternative is ruin. Pause and ask yourself this. If you lost your primary stream of income today at noon, how many days could you survive before you couldn't buy food? If the answer is less than 30 days, you are currently in the danger zone. But here's the good news. You don't need to be rich to fix this. You just need to trigger a specific psychological shift. There's a fascinating biological phenomenon that happens when you have money in the bank. Neuroscientists have found that financial scarcity puts your brain into what they call survival mode. It raises your cortisol. It actually lowers your effective IQ. When you're in survival mode, you make bad long-term decisions to solve short-term problems. You take the first job offer you get. You use high-interest credit cards to fix your car. But when you hit this specific savings number, your brain shifts into opportunity mode. Imagine walking into a salary negotiation. Scenario A, you have $50 in your checking account. You are terrified. You emit desperation. You will take whatever they give you. Scenario B, you have 6 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. You aren't arrogant, but you are calm. You know that if this negotiation goes south, you'll be fine. Ironically, because you aren't desperate, you are far more likely to get the raise. This fund doesn't just buy you security, it buys you respect. So what is the number? Most financial gurus will tell you to save 3 to 6 months of income. That is wrong. Do not save your income. That takes too long and it's inefficient. You need to save 6 months of your lean expenses. Here's your deliverable for this video. I want you to perform a survival audit. Write down your expenses, but only the ones that keep you alive and employable. Housing, utilities, basic food, insurance, and minimum debt payments. Cut the Netflix. Cut the gym membership you don't use. Cut the $700 truck payment if you can sell it. Hold on. I know what you're thinking. Stiles, I don't want to live like a monk forever. I'm not asking you to. This isn't your forever budget. This is the mathematical baseline you need to calculate your freedom. Let's say your fat life costs $5,000 a month, but your lean life, just survival, costs $3,000. Your freedom number is $3,000 times 6 months. That's $18,000. $18,000 is achievable. Once you have that locked away, you own yourself again. This is your walk-away fund. Now, how do we get there? If you're living paycheck to paycheck, finding $18,000 feels like climbing Everest. You have to widen the gap. The gap is the difference between what you earn and what you burn. You cannot save your way to freedom by cutting lattes. The math simply doesn't work. You have to attack the structural costs of your life, the big three: housing, transportation, and food. If you drive a car with a $600 payment, you are driving your freedom down the drain. The average car payment is now over $700 a month. Over a lifetime, that is nearly $1 million in lost wealth potential. Here's the twist. The fastest way to build this fund usually isn't cutting coupons. It's temporary, radical income. Sell the stuff in your garage. Pick up a side hustle for 6 months. It sucks, I know. But remember, you aren't doing this forever. You're doing it until you hit the number. You are buying your freedom. Once you have this money, where do you put it? Do not put this money in the stock market. I love the stock market. It's the greatest wealth-building machine in history. But this money isn't for wealth building. This money is insurance. If the market crashes 30% the same week you lose your job, and that happens often, your safety net just got a hole in it. Put this money in a high-yield savings account. It needs to be liquid. It needs to be safe. It needs to be boring. If it's earning 4 or 5%, great. But the return on investment here isn't interest. The return on investment is sleep. Here's the reality check. Your boss is not your enemy. The economy is not your enemy. Fragility is the enemy. When you are fragile, every problem is a crisis. When you have this fund, problems are just inconveniences. The goal of money isn't to buy a Lamborghini to impress people you don't like. It's to buy control over your time. So do the math, calculate your lean number, and start building that gap today. If you want to know exactly how to stop bleeding money on things that don't matter so you can fill this fund faster, check out the video where I break down the money traps that keep you broke. I'm Stiles, and I'll see you in the next one.